माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिविराजकाचार्य अष्टोत्र श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिविराजकाचार्य अष्टोत्र श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की, नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा माई यमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की, समवेत भक्त वृंद की, गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and all glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके Bhaktir-bhavati naishtiki. So today we are reading from Canto number 3, chapter 21, conversation between Manu and Kardama, verse number 18. Na teja raksha brahmirayuresham न तेज राक्षा ब्रह्मिरायुरेशम् त्रयोदशरं त्रिशतं षष्टिपर्वा त्रयोदशारं त्रिशतां षष्टिपर्वा सन्नेमि अनन्ताच्चर्यत्रि नाभि सन्नेमि अनन्ताच्चर्यत्रि नाभि करालस्रोतो जगदचिद्य द्रवात् करालस्रोतो जगत् अचिद्य द्रवात् न तेज राक्षा ब्रह्मिरायुरेशम् त्रयोदशारं त्रिशतं षष्टिपर्वा सन्नेमि अनन्ताच्चर्यत्रि नाभि करालस्रोतो जगत् अचिद्य द्रवात्। Yeah, can someone repeat? न तेज राक्षा ब्रह्मिरायुरेशम् त्रयोदराशरं त्रिशतं षष्टिपर्वा सन्नेमि अनन्ताच्चर्यत्रि नाभि Karalasho. Vaishnavis. Nate Jaraksha Brahmira Yuresham. Trayo Dasharam Trishashti Shatam. Samnemi Ananta Chadiyatri Nabi. Karala Shroto Jagat Achidya Drava. Nate Jaraksha Brahmira Yuresham. Trayo Dasharam Trisatam Shashti Parva. Karala Shroto Vedachitya Bhavat. Na, not. Te, your. Ajara, of imperishable Brahman. Aksha, on the axle. Brahmihi, rotating. Ayuhu, span of life. Esham, of the devotees. Trayodasha, 13. Aram, spooks. Trishatam, 300. Shashti, 60. Parva, functions. Sat, Shat, 6. Nemi, rims. Ananta, innumerable. Chadi, leaves. Yat, which. 3. Nabi, naves. Karala Shrotaha, with tremendous velocity. Jagat, the universe. Achidya, cutting short. Dhavat, running. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Your wheel, which has 3 naves, rotates around the axis of the imperishable Brahman. It has 13 spokes, 360 joints, 6 rims, and numberless leaves carved upon it. Through its revolution cuts short the lifespan of the entire creation. This wheel of tremendous velocity cannot touch the lifespan of the devotees of the Lord. Purport. The time factor cannot affect the span of life of the devotees. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that a little execution of devotional service saves one from the greatest danger. The greatest danger is transmigration of the soul from one body to another, and only devotional service to the Lord can stop this process. It is stated in the Vedic literature, Harim Vinana Mritim Taranti. Without the mercy of the Lord, one cannot stop the cycle of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that only by understanding the transcendental nature of the Lord and His activities, His appearance and disappearance, can one stop the cycle of death and go back to Him. The time factor is divided into many fractions of moments, hours, months, years, periods, seasons, etc. All these divisions in this verse are determined according to the astronomical calculations of Vedic literature. There are 6 seasons called Rutus, and there is the period of 4 months called Chaturmasa. 3 periods of 4 months complete 1 year. According to Vedic astronomical calculations, there are 13 months. The 13th month is called Adhikamasa or Malamasa and is added every 3rd year. The time factor, however, cannot touch the span of the devotees. In another verse, it is stated that when the sun rises and sets, it takes away the life of all living entities. But it cannot take away the life of those who are engaged in devotional service. Time is compared here to a big wheel which has 360 joints, 6 rims in the shape of seasons and numberless leaves in the shape of movements. It rotates on the eternal existence Brahman. Thus ends the purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmetam Ena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome everyone for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. So in this verse, it's basically the Kardama Muni continues his prayers towards to the Lord. So in this verse, he specifically talks about the time factor, and in the purport, Prabhupada makes many points. So all these points we can broadly classify or summarized into 3 points. The first point here is that the time factor cannot affect the span of life of the devotees. So that's the first point in the purport. And the second point Prabhupada makes is that one needs the mercy of the Lord to stop the cycle of birth and death. And the third point is the time and its derivatives, like the different seasons and all those things Prabhupada talks about. So I think all these 3 covers all the points which Prabhupada discusses in the purport. So I will discuss all these 3 points individually. But before that, why is Kardama Muni talking about time in this shloka to begin with, correct? So as you know that Kardama Muni, he wanted to perform this, this process, assist in this process of procreation, which is apparently like seems to be like a material activity, like a sense enjoyment. But however, Kardama Muni knows that that there is a time factor, right? Every material desire, it has a beginning and an end. One cannot enjoy forever. There is always a beginning and an end, and time is how the things are put to an end. On the other hand, we can see the Yayati Maharaj, he went on forever, but at least Kardama Muni, he's aware that this is not like for eternal thing. It is just, there is a time factor which kind of ends all the material activities and the desires. So that is why Kardama Muni, specifically glorifies the Lord with respect to time and how the time factor is taking away the lifespan of everybody. Okay. So before I discuss these 3 points, first I would like to discuss what is time, correct? Because now we are trying to like, this purport is describing about the effects of time. But before we discuss about the effects of time, let's first try to understand what exactly is time, correct? Unless we understand what is time, then we won't be able to understand what is the effects of time. When we are reading Bhagavatam, we come across many such terms: Prakriti, Kala, Jiva, Ishvara. I mean, these words have some meanings, like like Prakriti means nature, Kala means time, Ishvara means God. These are like simple definitions which everybody can understand. But however, these words are actually having even more in-depth meaning. And sometimes the same words which are given a different meaning by Mayavadis, or given a different meaning by a person coming from a different philosophy. So we must understand exactly what exactly is the definition given by Srimad Bhagavatam of the time. When you say Kala, what is exactly the definition given by Bhagavatam? So if you all may remember, the definition of time is actually, many places Bhagavatam gives a definition of time. Can anyone of you give any example? Yeah. Exactly, yes. So there are many things actually. Bhagavatam describes time in many ways, so I'm going to summarize some of the qualities of time. In the previous chapter, there is a description where Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as an instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. This is one definition of time. Actually, there is much more explanation, but I don't have time to cover all those things. But this is the first verse which talks about time, and the subsequent verses elaborates more on the time. If you want more, exactly what's the Bhagavatam definition of time, I would start here. And in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that this time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self-expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. If you have attended my previous classes, I have discussed about the efficient cause and material cause of the universe. And Prabhupada specifically says that this time factor is the material cause of the universe. That's how Prabhupada defines time in his purport. So let's move on and let's see what is this, the modern science, how the modern science describes time. The modern science says the indefinite continued progress of existence and events in the past, present and future regarded as a whole measured in hours and minutes. So this is how the modern science defines times. What it means is that there is existence, right? There is past, present, future, and there are events. And if you put together all these events like a continuous process, then this continuous progress is called as time. That is how the modern science defines time. And I would like to give one more definition of the time. This is more like a condensed definition of time, which is given in the Vedanta Sutra, given by commentary by Baladev Vidyabhushan, and which is translated into English language by His Holiness Bhanuswami. So here it encapsulates the entire definition of time in one paragraph. Kala is the cause of our ability to speak of the states like quick and slow, past, present and future. Moving like a wheel measured in short moments of the lifespan of Brahma, time gives rise to the creation and destruction of the universe. It is an unconscious substance. So this kind of summarizes the entire definition of time in one paragraph. Again, this is my favorite part. So we'll do a comparison how the science defines times and how the Bhagavatam explains time, which adds few more layers of understanding of time. As explained previously, there is the first aspect of time is that it is eternal. There is no beginning and there is no end. And the modern science also agrees to these things. The modern science also says that the time is which is eternal. Correct? As explained here, it's a continued progress. So there is no beginning and there is no end. And the science also says that this time is something which you can pursue through the progress of events. That's how you pursue the time. There is something happened in the past, event has already happened that you call past, something is happening right now that you call present, and something is going to happen in the future that is future. That's how you understand the time. And that's the explanation of the science, the time according to the science. And even the Bhagavatam also speaks the same thing. Time is pursued to past, present and future. But there are two more things which is added on to this definition of time, which is given to the science, where it says that this time is actually the cause of creation and destruction. It is a material cause. This is something which science does not agree. Science doesn't say that time is causing something. No, time is just, it's more like a witness. It just sees it. It's not going to cause something. But the Bhagavatam says that no, the time is a cause. It's a material cause for the creation. So that's a very unique thing which adds to the definition of time. And the second thing one more thing which Bhagavatam says is that it is actually an unconscious substance. Means it's actually a tattva. It's an energy of the Lord. It's not like, that is one more unique thing in defining what is time. So according to science, time is not like a substance and it does not cause anything. It's just it's like a witness of past, present and future. So now let's go delve further into these aspects of time. So the first thing is eternality of time. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 basic truths: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma. Out of these 5 things, these first 4 things, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, these are eternal, and Kala, these are eternal, whereas Karma, it is not eternal, correct? And Krishna also says that Aham Evakshayah Kalo, which means I am the eternal time, eternality. So Krishna says that, time is something which is eternal. And the other thing is that the time is used to speak different states like slow and fast and past, present and future. Correct? So that is how you describe time, because especially in the Sankhya, the way time is defined is that the Sankhya is all about cause and effect. Correct? So when this effect is not manifested, which is in this potential state, which is going to manifest, then that is called as future. Means it is going to manifest, like Prakriti. The Prakriti, that's made of 3 modes of nature, it's still not disturbed yet. So it is in its latent stage, but it is having potential to unfold the creation. That is future. And when the 3 modes are agitated and the creation happens, so the first thing which comes is Mahat. Means the creation has started, means the process has started, that is like present. And when everything is annihilated, means everything is destroyed, then that is past. The creation already happened, it's over. Correct? One more cycle of yuga has to start. So this is one explanation, this is one more aspect how you explain the time. And the other thing is that it is actually described as one of the causes of creation. In the previous chapter, when there is a description how Brahma is creating the creation, creating this universe, it is said that when this equilibrium of the combination of 3 modes of nature was agitated by 3 things. What are the 3 things? The unseen activity of living entity, which is karma actually. And second is Mahavishnu, and the third thing is a force of time. The material elements are produced. So time is actually a very instrumental in the creation. It is given as one of the causes of the creation. And what is the purpose of time? Actually Prabhupada refers to this shloka, that shloka is from the 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, when Shaunaka Rishi is describing about Maharaj Parikshit, who was about to leave his body, there this verse comes where it says, Ayur haranti vaipumsan udayan ashtamcha yan ashu, where it says that both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of lifespan of everyone except who utilizes the time by discussing the topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. So this is one of the aspect of time which it looks like it has a purpose, right? And the last thing I want to discuss is that it is described as actually an unconscious substance. Means actually what it means is that it is actually a tattva. It's an energy of the Lord. That is what it is trying to say. Because the time, according to Sankhya, actually the atheistic Sankhya, they do not consider time as a separate element. There's only like 24 elements. But according to the Bhagavatam, even though Bhagavatam talks about a lot of Sankhya principles, but the Bhagavatam says that time is actually one more element, one more tattva. It's one more energy of the Lord. It's actually the 25th element. And that can be found in one of the upcoming chapters, where it says that all these are considered the unqualified Brahman. The mixing element, which is known as time, is counted as 25th element. So according to Bhagavatam, actually time is a separate tattva itself. It is not something which is not a tattva. And that is why this Sankhya, which is explained in the Bhagavatam, which is the actual Kapila's Sankhya philosophy, according to that Sankhya philosophy, there are actually, the 25th element is the time factor, which is perceived as past, present and future, and which is actually one of the energy of the Lord, which is one of the Brahman, energy of the Brahman. Correct? So now that we have described what is time according to Bhagavatam, now let's move on to this statement where it says that the time factor cannot affect the span of life of devotee. So again, the exact word here which is used in the shloka is ayu. Ayu means basically lifespan. Again, when you say ayu, what does it exactly mean? Is it referring to the life of this material body? Correct? But I don't think so, because everybody knows this material body, someday it's going to die. So this ayu is not exactly referring to the life of this material body. But however, if you read Srila Prabhupada's purport, he kind of hints what exactly this statement means that time factor cannot affect the span of devotees. And if you read the purport, Prabhupada says that here, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that a little execution of devotional service saves one from the greatest danger. The greatest danger is transmigration of soul from one body to another. So essentially here we are referring to the liberation, that how a devotee is freed from the cycle of birth and death. Because see, the time and karma is actually one of the binding factors, correct? But when a person is liberated, that means that this time and karma is no longer having its this binding nature, correct? So that's how Srila Prabhupada explains, that's what exactly it means that time factor cannot affect the span of the devotees, the life of the devotees. And how he further goes on to the purport, saying that how one has to perform devotional service, and how by understanding the transcendental nature of Krishna that one becomes liberated, correct? And he goes back to Godhead and all those things. So that's what it means, that the ayu exactly means. It's not like the life of this material body. So as we all know that there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita where it says Nashato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata, means that which is non-existence, there is no endurance, and of the eternal there is no change. So here actually Krishna is talking about the soul, because soul is not something which is material. So soul, there is no influence of time. But however, a conditioned soul who is kind of bound in this karma, the time can exert its influence. But however, the pure soul which is liberated, there is no influence of time. So in that sense, for a liberated person, the time cannot actually bind him. And Prabhupada mentions about the devotional service, how by performing devotional service, it saves from the greatest danger. What is the greatest danger? The greatest danger is basically the cycle of birth and death. And how Krishna explains, and Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that janma karma chame divyam evam yo vete tatvata tvakta dehyam punarjanma naiti mam eti. So Arjuna, means one who understands this transcendental nature of Krishna, that he becomes liberated, and that's how it is described. And even if a person does not become liberated in this life, but still he continues from his next life wherever he has stopped. So that means that the time could not destroy his devotional service. It is his eternal credit. Time cannot influence the devotional credits of a devotee. And this devotional service, this bhakti, that is why it is described as apratihata, which means that it transcends the material limitations of time and space. That is how the bhakti is defined. So that's what it means. The time factor cannot affect the span of life of the devotee. What it means is that because a person who is in devotional service is quickly relieved from this material distress, and then he's liberated, and in that way this karma and kala cannot bind the devotee. So that's the first point which is discussed in the purport. And the second point which is discussed is that one needs the mercy of the Lord to stop the cycle of birth and death. So this is a very interesting thing. Why do we need the mercy of the Lord? Right? Because if you see what is the root cause, what is the root cause problem of the jiva? It is avidya, means ignorance, or maya, means being illusioned. So that is the root cause. If the root cause is maya or avidya, then all you need to do is that have vidya, get knowledge. Then that is how you overcome avidya. But here it says you should have the mercy of the Lord. Why you need mercy of the Lord in addition to vidya? Why vidya alone is not sufficient? Why knowledge alone is not sufficient to overcome avidya? There are many shlokas in this aspect. One famous shloka is, Daiviyesham hi gunamayi, that is one famous shloka which many devotees quote, where he says that it is very difficult, unless without my mercy, it is very difficult to overcome maya. So that is one shloka, but I would like to quote a different shloka which I feel is more appropriate to this context. This is from the 10th canto, 63rd chapter and 26th verse. where the chapter name is Krishna fights with Banasura. And so this verse is spoken by Shivajvara. Shivajvara, have you know, who have read the 10th canto, 63rd chapter, there the it's like a weapon, right? It's a weapon. It's one weapon talks to the Vishnu, Shivajvara talks to the Vishnu Jvara. Over there, the Shivajvara, it speaks, it glorifies Lord Krishna, and it speaks this verse. It's a very interesting verse. It says, Kalo Daivam Karma Jiva Subhavo, Dravyam Kshetram Prana Atma Vikara, Tat Sangato Bija Roha Pravahas, Tvan Maya Shishatan Nishedam Prapadye. Time, fate, karma, the jiva and its potencies, the subtle material elements, the material body, the life air, the false ego, the various senses, and the totality of these are reflected in the living being's subtle body. All these constitutes your material illusory energy Maya, an endless cycle like that of seed and plant. I take shelter of you, the negation of this Maya. See? So this is how the Shivajvara, worships Krishna, in order to come out of this Maya. So, there are many definitions of Maya. How you define Maya, there are many definitions given. And this is one of the definitions of Maya, which I would like to explain here. This is how actually the Maya is explained in terms of efficient cause and material cause here. And that is basically, Jiva Maya and Guna Maya. Here, if you see Maya, here it talks about four things: time, fate, karma, and Jiva and its propensities. Four things: Kala, the time; Daiva, destiny; Karma, karma; Swabhava means propensities. So these are actually the four constituents of Maya. I mean, this is how Maya is described in this verse. And it says that if we want to negate Maya, then one has to take the shelter of Bhagavan. So if you see here, these four things, actually these four things are interrelated to each other. This time, destiny, karma and swabhava, these are interrelated to each other. It all ties to karma. Because everybody has their karma, right? Their propensity to enjoy, and from which one from his or her activities, then there is a destiny based on the karma, and because of the this karma, then there is like a natural inclinations to perform a specific activity. And at the beginning of creation, if you see, this karma, the time kind of influences the karma so that the creation happens. So in this way, these four constituents of Maya are interrelated to each other. And if one has to overcome Maya, then one has to take the shelter of Bhagavan. So here's the thing. So what happens is that for a devotee, as we all know, that when one takes the shelter of a guru, this karma is destroyed. There's no more this material karma. Correct? So when this material karma is destroyed, then there is no more this material destiny. That means that there is no more this material swabhava. So if there is no more karma, then what can time do? You see, this is like one more way of explaining how time does not affect the devotees. Because there is no karma, then what can the time do? Like, so let's say that you have $100, then the time can take away those $100. But if you don't have $100, then what can the time do? Right? There is an interesting, story, which Gaur Gopal Prabhu says, that one day there was this person who came to a pujari, a brahmana, and he showed his hand. He said, "Can you see my astrology?" He said that, okay. He saw his astrology, and he said that in your astrology everything is fine, but you have a lot of Shani. That is causing a lot of problems to you, Shani, the influence of Shani. So he said that, don't worry, I will do one puja for you, and if you do that puja, you'll be fine. Don't worry about that. Then he said that, okay, what to do then? He said that, you give me $500. You do me $500, I'll perform a homa for you. And the effect of Shani will go away. Then he said that, okay, that's fine, but I don't have $500. Then he said, don't worry, give me at least $300. I'll do a little shortcut. I'll do short Homa for you. Then he said, I don't have $300 also. I said, okay, at least give $100. I don't have $100 also. I said, just, okay, give $50. No, no $50. I said, give at least $1. I'll at least pray for you. He said, I don't have $1 also. He said that, you know what? Don't worry, just go home. Because even if you have $1, if you don't have $1 also, what can Shani do? Right? Right? What can anyone do for you? So similarly, if you don't have karma, what can destiny do to you? Right? So that's the thing. See, for a devotee, there's no these things. It's gone. So what can time do to you? And interestingly, why is there no karma for a devotee? Why there is no karma for a devotee? That is because there is no karma for a devotee. That is because he surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Because see, why the whole karma is attached to your ahankara, your individuality, correct? Because of this material nature, what you have acquired, you are conditioned to act in a certain way. You have an ahankara which gives you identity. This is I am, this is how I am, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I care about, this is what I don't care about. So then that is how your individuality is there and the karma is just going behind it. But however, at the process of initiation, what happens is that you dissolve this ahankara. That is why you get a name called Das. Correct? That means that you are no longer attached to your likings, your individuality, what you like and what don't like, but you align yourselves with the wishes of your guru. You align with the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and with the Krishna's instructions. So that is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also that Arjuna, that don't worry about this karma, don't worry about the sinful reactions. You just surrender unto me and you perform activity, under my directions. Then there is no more sinful reactions. So it all ties back to Sharanagati. A person who is surrendered, this is how actually karma gets destroyed. It's not that suddenly karma gets deleted like some bank balance. No, it's not like that. The karma is destroyed because one is no longer identifying with his material ahankara. He has dissolved himself, his ahankara, and now he is identifying himself as servant of the Lord and his guru. That is why the Sharanagati is very extremely important in this aspect. Otherwise, you may take initiation, you may do so many things, but as long as you have this individual nature, which doesn't align with which is prohibiting you from this, from surrendering yourself to your guru, the karma is still there. Doesn't matter. It's not like karma is gone. No, as long as you surrender, it is there. When you surrender, then there's no more karma. When there's no more karma, what can time do to you anyway? Correct? So this is all ties back to Maya. But again, the interesting point is that why mercy of Lord? This is all okay, but again, why mercy of Lord? So for this, I would like to explain. Again, we should define, just like the way I define time, we should also define what is Maya. Correct? We are talking about Maya and its effects. But before we even talk about all these things, first of all, we should define what is Maya. How does Bhagavatam explains Maya? That's very important because even Mayavadis also accept Maya. But their definition is way different from the way Bhagavatam explains Maya. So it is very much important that we understand the definition of Maya also. Anyone of you like to give it a try? What is Maya? Yes. Exactly. So that is the most important point. Maya, see the way, one thing, one way of saying definition of Maya is that which is not. Even Prabhupada also many times gave this definition of Maya, that which is not. But actually even Mayavadis also say the same thing, that which is not is Maya. But that is not the only definition of Maya. The other most important thing is that Maya is actually the real potency of Bhagavan. It is a potency of Lord. You see? According for the Mayavadis, Maya is just an illusion. But for the Vaishnavas, we don't say Maya is illusion. Maya is the energy of the Lord which creates illusion. You see, there's a big difference. There's a big difference by saying Maya is illusion versus Maya creates illusion. When you say Maya creates illusion, that means that Maya exists. It's not that it doesn't exist. This is the exact difference, how Mayavadis understands Maya and how Bhagavatam gives the definition of Maya. Correct? So, see, so now when you say that the Maya is a potency of the Lord, that means that you have to perform devotional service, or you have to please, the Lord's mercy is required to overcome Maya. That this, because it is a potency of Maya, the potency of the Lord. So in this way, because Mayavadis, they don't believe that this is an energy of the Lord. So that is why they say that you don't need to do bhakti, to overcome Maya. All you need is jnana, all you need is knowledge. If you have knowledge, the Maya is gone. But we say no, knowledge is not enough. Along with knowledge, you also need the mercy of the Lord. That is why, for example, we give the examples of, mirage in the desert. That's one way we explain Maya. But actually even Mayavadis also give the same example of mirage in the desert. But their conclusion is that because mirage is Maya, so Jagat is Maya. See, we also give the same examples, but we should be careful, what interpretation we are trying to give. We are not saying that Jagat is Maya. What we are saying is that it's an ignorance is Maya, illusion. Of course, one more example we can give is bubble in the ocean. Because actually mirage doesn't exist. So this example is very much liking towards Advaitavadis. Because mirage doesn't exist, so Jagat doesn't exist. But that is not the case. The world is a reality, but it's just temporary. That is why Prabhupada also gives one more example in Bhagavad Gita. He talks about bubble in the ocean. Actually, I would say that is more appropriate, because when the bubble is there, bubble exists. It's not that it doesn't exist. Mirage doesn't exist, but the bubble exists. But it is temporary. Correct? So that would be actually an even more perfect example when you want to describe Maya. Anyway, so that's the conclusion. So the conclusion is that, we should understand what is time. Time is an impersonal feature of the Lord. It is not some, nothing. No, it is something. It is an impersonal feature of the Lord, and it is a real tattva. It is the 25th element of the Lord. And it is a material cause. It is a material cause and the constituent of Maya. It's one of the 4 constituents of Maya. And Maya is a real energy of the Lord, and hence the devotion is required to overcome Maya, and knowledge alone is not sufficient. And for a devotee, time affects, but it does not have a destructive effects because of absence of Maya. So now I would like to say a couple of things about, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Today is his appearance day, and also Ramachandra Kaviraj Goswami. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he is actually one of the 7 Goswamis, but there is not much description about him in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is because he has specifically asked Kaviraj Goswami that don't mention my name in Chaitanya Charitamrita, because he is very humble that he doesn't want his name to be mentioned everywhere. But there's so many glories of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and I would like to only discuss 2 things about the glories of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. As you all know that actually he is born and brought up in a South Indian Orthodox Brahmin family, where Lord Chaitanya, when he went, he spoke to his father Venkata Bhatta, where Gopal Bhatta Goswami served him. And afterwards, he wanted to come with Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Chaitanya said that no, you just stay back, take care of your parents. Correct? Because that time he was only like 10 or 15 years old. He's not older than that. But however, Lord Chaitanya wanted him to stay back. Of course, one reason he gives is that he wants to take care of his parents. That's one reason, but actually there are more reasons. The other reason is that actually Lord Chaitanya has a plan for Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He wanted Gopal Bhatta Goswami to assist Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan in composing their Vaishnava literature. And for that actually he wanted to complete his education. That is why when he stayed back, actually he was completing his education under Prabodhananda Saraswati. That's why both Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Prabodhananda Saraswati, they're all very educated, highly educated scholars. They have read the entire the Prabandhas of Sri Sampradaya, and also they are well aware of the Shankara Bhashya and also the teachings of Madhvacharya. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami is very well learned in all these things. And Lord Chaitanya, that's why he told that you stay back for some time, take care of your parents, finish your education, and then you go and join the Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and then assist them. And as you all know, his deity, right? His deity is Radharaman. His very famous temple in Vrindavan. So there are many things I can talk about Radharaman temple and his deity, but one of the most important thing is that for us, for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it is this standard of Radharaman temple is the deity worship standards for all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Even Prabhupada, when he established ISKCON, when he was setting up the deity worship, because for us Rukmini Dwarkadish, right? For us the number one thing is deity worship. But this deity worship, the original acharya of the deity worship is actually Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He is the one who set the standards in the Radharaman temple, and those are the standards which, lot of standards which Prabhupada has borrowed and set here. Of course, not fully, Prabhupada said, right, if you fully tell you the deity worship, you will faint, right? So even today, the Radharaman standards are the standards for the deity worship for all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And in this way, we have a special connection with Gopal Bhatta Goswami because he is the acharya of the deity worship for all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And the other interesting thing is that actually he is the original compiler of the Shat Chandarbhas. Even though Jiva Goswami kind of systematized it, but the first script was actually put by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, because Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he was learned in all the Indian schools of philosophy, and then he was the one who first put the script together, but it was not like very well organized, or some parts were missing and it was not properly structured. So Jiva Goswami took it over and then he kind of reorganized it, and then he put together the Shat Chandarbhas. Again, he is coming from the South Indian Orthodox Brahmin family who is well versed in the Sri Vaishnava philosophy. And that is why, a lot of Sri Vaishnavas, when they read the Sandarbhas, one thing they say is that there is a lot of similarities in the Prabandhas, Sri Vaishnava Prabandhas and Shat Chandarbhas. That is because of the influence of the Gopal Bhatta Goswami, because he is well versed in all the Prabandhas. So there's a lot of similarities. And even the Jiva Goswami, before writing Tattva Sandarbha, he actually offers his prayers to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He says that Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, a friend of Sri Rupa and Sanatana, born in the South Indian Brahmin family, compiled the original version of this book after extracting the essence from the works of ancient Vaishnava masters. Means he was referring to all the other Vaishnava acharyas like Madhvacharya and Ramanujacharya. And the next one is, today is also the disappearance day of Ramachandra Kaviraj. So he is actually the son of Chiranjeeva Sena. He is one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, and he is a disciple of Srinivasa Acharya. And this title Kaviraj was given to him by Jiva Goswami because of his, scholarly, aptitude in poetry. Jiva Goswami gave him the title Kaviraj, and these are some of his important works: Smarana Chamatkara, Smarana Darpana, Siddhanta Chandrika, and so on. Okay, so Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki jai, Srila Ramachandra Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Any questions? Haribol. Ananta Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sure, thank you. Oh yeah, sure.